Sin destroys our mind. It influences our mind. It distorts our mind. And we look at things from a wrong perspective, and we get our values all mixed up. But when you come to Christ and you begin to see the world through the eyes of God, you don't go around wringing your hand and saying, what's going to happen, what's going to happen. There's a peace in your heart. You can read the headlines that frighten and scare, but Christ is there. He's in control. You know, the Bible teaches that there are many highs, but there are also some lows. You read the book of Psalms. I read 5 Psalms every day. How many times the psalmist was down at the very bottom, looking up to sea bottom? There are highs and lows, but in the midst of it all, there's the Spirit of the living God to give you joy and peace. There are certain rivers for the Christian that run very deep, and it's a wonderful thing in the midst of a low to have Jesus there. Because you see, you're going to face problems. You're going to have disappointments. You're going to have heartaches. You're going to have problems and difficulties in your life. But in the midst of it, God's grace will be there. You know, Paul had some affliction. We don't know exactly what it was, but he prayed 3 times, Lord, deliver me. And God said, no, Paul, I'm not going to deliver you from it. But my grace is going to be sufficient for you in the middle of it. You can endure it. How many muggings last night? How many rapings last night? How many murders last night? Violence, violence, violence. This is one of the characteristics of the devil and demons. And I want to tell you, we're not going to stop it just with more police power. We've got to have prayer power and spiritual power. We've got to have people on their knees praying. And we must have a spiritual awakening in this country. And then notice he dwelt among the dead. The Bible says that this fellow lived out in the tombs. He lived in a cemetery. And did you know the Bible teaches that we are dead in sins and trespasses before we come to Christ? Your body is alive, but your soul, your spirit is dead toward God. You need to be made alive. And you could be made alive tonight if you let Jesus touch your life. Let me tell you, Jesus Christ can come into your heart right now and take that guilt away. And then notice that he was uncontrollable. Nobody could control this fella. They tried to tie him up. They tried to put him in prison. They tried to put him in a mental institution. He broke out. He seemed to have supernatural power. And he was a violent man. Has there ever been an hour when there's been so much violence? Everybody wants peace, and they hold up the peace sign. And we all believe in peace, but somehow we don't get peace. Violence and rioting and killing and murder. Some newspapers today in our big cities don't even print the murders any longer. There's so many every night. They just list them in one spot. And you can look over at a certain place and you just read it like you would a baseball score. How many muggings last night? How many rapings last night? How many murders last night? Violence, violence, violence. They had not yet come to the full recognition that here was the master of all the ages, the King of kings and Lord of lords and God of very God. But they got on the other side of the little Sea of Galilee, and there they met a strange sight. A wild man, a naked man, bleeding from head to toe from wounds self-inflicted, came running and screaming toward them. And the Bible says that he was possessed by a demon. You say, now, Billy, do you believe that they were really demons? Yes, I believe that there were real demons in Jesus' day, and I believe they're real demons right now. There is a real devil. There's a real devil in the world now. The Bible teaches it, and we can see evidences of his work everywhere.